Welcome to another You Comment, We Respond. The first hand we have for you today is a fun one. It's a really fun one. It's called Phil Hellmuth versus the Brainiac. The Brainiac, of course, being Ike Haxton. If you want to check that out, click right up here. Quick recap. Ike opened King 9 in the cutoff or something like that in a big game, cash game. Phil called the button with Ace Jack. The flop came Jack 10-3. Ike bet 6K into 4,200 with King 9, which was really interesting.
Yeah.
Phil called. The turn was, let's see what the turn was. I have it here. I know I do.
So much for
Seven of hearts. It was the 7 of hearts.
You're not a Boy Scout.
Ike bet pot and Phil called again. The river was a blank of some type.
Either,
deuce of hearts. Shut up, you. There's deuce of hearts on the river. Ike finally checked. Phil bet very small. He bet 16K into 46K, and Ike with his king high thought for a while and eventually decided to call. That was interesting.
I like how he always says this, I may look stupid here.
Yeah.
And that Ike sort of slightly stilted way. I might be a robot way of talking.
Yeah.
Good guy, though. All right. Let's do it.
Good guy, though. Yeah, whatever.
We're not really putting him down. All right. Armand Fazeli says, I believe Phil bet the river particularly because he has the ace of diamonds. He knew the opponent is not likely to be on a flush draw alone, and that eliminates a huge portion of the draw hands Ike would bet 150% of the flop with. I think Phil genuinely puts Ike on a single pair hand. Some combo draws with pairs such as Queen 10 of diamonds, 10 9 of diamonds make a lot of sense for Ike to play like this. Huge bet on the flop and turn because of the pair and big draw, then check on the river because he has showdown value.
Okay, that's fair, but that's two combos, right?
That's two, yeah. But he was saying that as examples.
All right, but if we came up with other examples, we'd probably get to 4.
Yeah, there aren't too many others.
Right,
really.
versus all of the over pairs that I could play this way, of which there are 6 pocket queens, 6 pocket kings, and 3 pocket aces, right?
Yeah.
So that I like your point, but I think combinatorially, we're still losing to a lot of the range.
Absolutely. I think the point is, though, yeah, no, you're right. That's true. The question is, would Ike really check a big pair on the river or not?
Yeah, that is the question. Once Phil calls twice, his range is pretty tight, so Ike might.
Ike might also just be trying to get value out of a jack. Phil is kind of a notorious cash game calling station.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. He might, but he might be a little bit concerned about Phil having a lot of traps in his range when Ike bets so big and Phil calls twice. So
that's true.
He's not going to fold the overpairs, but he might not want to get raised if he bets.
Okay, but he can also bet fold.
He could.
Anyway, still trying to help, says. It's nice that you're still trying to help, by the way. I think this is a great spot for Ike to overbet shove the river.
Yeah.
We have a blocker to the nuts, and we aren't blocking diamonds, which Phil could still have. When we check the river, we run the risk of running into single pair hands, and the ace-high flush draw will almost always check back, while leading the river will charge medium hands when we have value or fold them out when we bluff.
I think we agree with this, right, in general?
That Ike should just go for it.
Yeah, we kind of came to that conclusion when we did the video ourselves. When Phil bets so small, it's so hard for him to have a lot of value there, and Ike can rep a lot of nutty hands if he just check shoves here.
Yeah.
Phil's going to have to fold the hand that he has.
I like the shove a lot better than the call.
Yeah.
And now, of course, not just because we actually don't know if it would have worked. We don't know if Phil's going to fold or not. Phil sometimes will call in these spots.
Sometimes he will.
But I think it's a better play. Well, we know calling is 100% loser anyway. Yeah. And also, we don't think Phil really shows up with as much bluffs as Ike seems to. Now, we could be wrong and Ike could be right. As we noted, he is a brainiac.
Yeah, he's a brainiac.
That said, I like the shove better.
Yep, me too.
So, we agree. Next, we have, how did Eugene Katchalov make this happen? If you want to watch that video and our breakdown of it, it's right up here. But Grant's going to break it all down for you because that's what he does.
Well, we don't need to worry about that. Eugene told us, right? On Twitter,
he
responded and he said, it's good to play exploitatively sometimes, basically.
Against non-pros.
Yeah.
By the way, Mestre is a pro.
Yeah.
And we said in the video and the podcast that Eugene was playing exploitatively, but whatever.
So he didn't exactly answer how he made it happen, but it's nice that he chimed in.
We appreciate it.
We do appreciate it. Anyway, this hand happened at an EPT final table back in 2011 where Raul Mestre opened under the gun with ace-10 off. Eugene just flatted with about 36 blinds or so.
37, yeah.
With ace-king in the small blind. So that's a pretty interesting play already.
Yep.
They go heads up to the flop. It's a king 10-3 flop. Eugene donks. Mestre calls, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
The turn is another 3. Eugene checks, which is weird too.
So weird.
Mestre bets, which we debated a lot about. Eugene raises to almost his entire stack.
Raises like to 1.4 and he has another million behind.
Mestre tanks for a while and eventually moves in, which is effectively calling.
Right.
And Eugene calls and wins.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a weird hand.
Yeah, very weird.
Mike Frederick says, I'm definitely checking back that turn if I'm Mestre. Katchalov's strange play should set off alarm bells. An ace-10 has too much value to risk getting blown off the pot. Maybe you give draws a free card and miss some value since busted draws might just check fold the river. But in a tournament, it is much more important to preserve your stack than put all of it at risk with a medium-strength showdownable hand. I think the better plan is to check back the turn. Then play cautiously on any 9 or face card on the river and call or make one bet on anything 8 or lower, and of course go for max value if another 10 drops.
Well, those are some good points.
Yeah, they are.
And I was kind of on that side of things when we were doing the podcast and the video. I think checking back is probably better. Jonathan preferred betting on the turn.
I do.
I guess the point that we get blown off the hand is not valid because Mestre is not going to let himself get blown off the hand. He's going to put all the chips in, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, well, this is the thing. I think you can bet that river, but you have to understand this is the bottom of your value betting range, ace-10. This is the worst, pretty much the worst hand you're ever going to show up with betting for value.
You mean the turn, right?
The turn,
Yeah.
of course, I do mean that.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So that means if that's the bottom of that part of the range, we can fold it if we get check raised.
Yeah.
We don't have to call with all of our value that we're betting. If
Right.
this is the worst value hand, we can throw that away if we get check raised.
That's a key point. If we are aware that we're betting and it's the bottom of our value range, that's the time to fold when there's aggression.
Yeah. So there's that. The other thing is I didn't like Mestre's sizing on the turn either. I thought it should have been much smaller because he's trying to get value out of certain hands, right?
Right.
And so like when he bets 600,000, now it's hard. When we get called, we're not even always ahead.
600. When you bet 600K, it doesn't even matter what he has, right? He's just betting to end the hand. It's not for value.
That's actually the bigger point.
Yeah.
Okay. Myopia movie. Sorry. Myopia movie says that was a weird name. I'm just
Myopia movie?
Myopia movie.
He's myopic.
Yeah.
He doesn't see far.
How about myopic movie?
Okay.
That's easier to read. That's all I'm saying. He says, or she, thought experiment time.
Oh, nice.
Give Mestre 10-10 here. Replay the hand. Then justify Eugene's play. I dare you.
Oh.
You can't.
Well, that was aggressive.
I know.
It's kind of like Eugene's turn check raise.
Or a hungry Bengal
Well,
tiger.
we did honestly struggle to justify Eugene's play as is, right? So it would be even harder if we knew he lost the hand, I guess. I guess that's your point.
I mean, Mestre has the same combos of 10-10 here, however he plays it, right?
Yeah.
Like whether he has it this time or not, he can have 10s, and that's something we talked about. I think the problem is for Eugene's check raise is it's hard to come up with many hands that are going to stick around that we're ahead of.
Right.
And that's problematic. Like,
Well, that's where exploitation comes in, right?
Yeah.
We're exploiting Raul Mestre because this guy puts a lot of chips in the pot very frequently.
it does seem to be
Yeah.
the case, yeah. But I do understand why Mestre played his hand the way he did. I get it. He thinks Eugene has Queen Jack, and he's just playing his hand for value. But you shouldn't play all of your value hands the same way. And I mean, I think a bet is really fine here, but I mean, Eugene would look, in quotes, dumb with ace-king against 10-10, but would he really? They could have gotten in pre,
Yeah.
they could have gotten it on the flop. They're just going to get it in at some point.
When you
you'd
flop
expect.
this well, you're just trying to get the chips in and usually double up, right? That's your goal here. You're Eugene Katchalov. You're trying to win the tournament, not just stay alive.
So if you're not trying to preserve your stack by doing pot control with the ace-king, although it does look he's sort of like he's doing that sort of pre-flop anyway.
In a way.
But once we flop top,
Yeah.
you just may think, all right, well, we're going with this one way or another.
Right.
Like, Mestre's never going to, if Mestre has me, he has me. And by the way, when Eugene calls it off, he kind of thinks Mestre has him, right?
Yeah.
He thinks Mestre has aces or 10s, I think, because he's like, okay, like,
Yeah.
I'm clearly committed.
I don't know. My read on that is he wants to look good if he's wrong. You want to look like you're upset about the call, even though you kind of think you're right, just in case you're wrong.
I mean, you don't look good if you're beat there anyway.
No,
right?
you look like you're like
just check raise, called it off.
No, he looks like he's aware that it's a bad spot sometimes. So if he happens to be wrong, it's like he was aware of it, but he was forced into the situation.
I mean, we do make fun of people when they're like, yes, and they're
Yeah.
clearly beat right away,
Yeah.
right? So fair enough.
Right.
And, maybe he's making exploitative faces there.
For the future thing
for
that he's going to do.
The future thing.
Yeah, with Raul
The future.
Mestre.
Think about the future.
That's the lesson of the day.